Good morning. Um, all around the world right now, we are dealing with a vicious pandemic, COVID-19, and um, and right now, worldwide, we don't have enough medical equipment to go around. We don't have enough face masks, gloves, hand sanitizer, ventilators. So when in our country, the United States, when this epidemic will be, at its peak, when it's raging, um, there may not be enough ventilators to go around. So that means that when we go into the emergency room seeking medical care, uh, they may have a bed for us or maybe not, but the ventilators are going to be in short supply. There's going to be a preference for giving ventilators to younger people, like my kids, and I support that. I approve of that. If anyone's not going to get a ventilator, I'd rather it be me than them. But the older folks who will likely need ventilation longer, will be less likely to survive, and will have less life ahead of them. They might get sent home to fend for themselves, and hopefully we live. Maybe we don't. Um, that's going to be our reality. So what I've done is I have made myself a ventilator. I've modified a CPAP machine. Is it as good as a proper ventilator? No, but it's better than nothing. And so I want to show you what I've done so that you can do the same thing for you and your family. And and hopefully, if you have a spare CPAP machine sitting around, um, maybe you could modify it and lend or donate or sell your CPAP machine to your local government or to the hospitals or whatever. That all around the country, we've got a lot of equipment that can be put to work, and a lot of idle hands right now that can work on creating much needed resources to save lives. So anyway, I want to show you what I did so you can do it too. Okay, this is my machine, and it's basically a very run-of-the-mill CPAP machine, a ResMed AirSense 10, and the machine itself has not been modified. The only modification is to the hose system. So in the middle of this hose, I've spliced a control valve, a rotary control valve that gates the airflow on and off and relieves pressure with every cycle from this air hose that runs to the full face mask. It has to be a full face mask and not the kind that just fits over your nose for obvious reasons. The rotary valve is turned by this motor. This is a variable speed gear motor that's you might recognize it from a barbecue grill. It is the motor that turns meat on a spit on top of a barbecue grill. It has variable speed, so you can run it fast, or you can run it very slow. Or anywhere in between. Okay, now that you've seen my machine, how would you use it? It's not particularly obvious. I'm not a respiratory therapist. I'm not a physician. Um, I'm an academic doctor. So what you would need to do is you would need to build this thing and take it with you to the hospital. And if they don't have enough ventilators, you say, here you go, I have my modified CPAP machine. Please treat me with this. And hopefully they'll have a bed for you and can set up your equipment and have a qualified respiratory therapist run the machine. The machine itself has programmable pressures, and as you saw, the gear motor has variable speed. So it's basically in, out, in, out. You change the speed, you change the pressure, you change the amount of oxygen that you feed into the system. This is not for you or me to figure out. This is for the respiratory therapist to figure out. Or if they don't have respiratory therapists enough to go around, this is for a doctor or a nurse. And it also bears mentioning that your life could depend on the machine that you build. And you know, I'm just supplying the concept and a little bit of how-to suggestions. It's up to you, and you have to take responsibility for yourself. It's up to you to figure out whether the machine you're building is reliable enough, whether you're willing to trust your life to it, and whether you built it properly. I can't do that. That's your job. So what I'm trying to say is, don't sue me. I'm trying to help you. And the responsibility is yours to build the thing, and a respiratory therapist to set it up and run it properly and monitor it and make sure that it's used correctly. So with that in mind, I'll show you how I put this thing together. All right, let's get started. Okay, this is the heart of the system right here. It's just a typical hardware store variety 3/4 inch PVC T connector. And the other major part is just a short piece of 3/4 inch PVC tubing. Now, or pipe. And what you'll first notice if you look inside this thing, you see right in the middle there's a ridge where the form for this thing came together. It's an imperfection in the bore of this thing. And there are also a couple of ridges like here and on the other side where the different parts of the mold meet. Okay, you got to shave those off. And the way I do it is with my bevel knife that I used for making oboe reeds back when I was a kid. But you don't have to use that. I think any sharp knife would do. A pocket knife is probably fine. But first thing you do is just reach in there and just kind of shave those edges off. This is not something I can photograph very well, so I'm just going to do it, and I'll leave you to do it too. Now, I wasn't able to shave off the complete ridge without basically shaving down one side of this thing. And I'm going to say that's okay. And I'm telling you out of experience, don't aggressively shave this thing because you're going to get it out of round and it will leak. So it was actually my second try when I didn't get as aggressive with it that was successful. So this is about what you want to do. You just want to get the main ridges off of it. And that's it. You can see where that point comes together there, kind of in the middle of the picture right now. You can see where I just shaved off that little ridge. That's all you want to do. All right? All right. Now the next step is we are going to lubricate this thing with dishwashing detergent. I just used Dawn. the blue stuff. Just put a little bit on your finger and wipe it around on the inside. You don't have to worry about this, only the main bore. So we're gonna soap this up pretty well so it's nice and slippery, because what we're gonna do is we're gonna heat this up to where it's kind of rubbery, and we're going to cram it in there. It'll work, trust me. Okay, the next step is we are going to heat up this tube. You can do this in your kitchen. It's probably easiest to do it in the kitchen because you need the sink and you need the detergent. You don't need a lot of heat. You don't want to stick this right in the flame. You just want to hold it above, okay? And just let it take time. Just hold it above the flame and let it get warm. Eventually it's going to get kind of rubbery. So it'll take a couple of minutes or so. It's going to get hot to the touch, and it's not going to be so hot you can't touch it, but you won't want to touch it very long. I'm going to heat this up, and I'm going to reposition my camera because I only have two hands. And I'll get back with you when, oh well, there. See how it's starting to get a little brown? Okay, I got a little too much heat on it. It's starting to get rubbery now. This is much easier to do when you're not holding a camera. Okay, see how it sort of flexes? All right, that's the state we want to get it in. Except we want to have some length of it kind of rubbery. And hang on, I'll be right back. Okay, now how much of this do you want rubbery? You want it rubbery almost the whole length of this tube. Okay, so just kind of take note of some marking on it. Like here it says Jeff. I don't know if that's a person's name or if that's some code, but anyway, it's about up to the Jeff mark. So that's where I'm going to heat it and get it rubbery. And so the whole thing should get, just kind of squishy, just like it's a rubber hose. So I'll be right back with the rubbery hose, and then I'll show you how I put this thing together. All right, now I've got a squishy rubber hose, and before it cools, I'm going to take it and I'm going to put it into here, and I'm going to cram it through, and you'll see right in the middle there where it kind of folds up and doesn't go all the way through. Poke it with your finger or your thumb. It's a little bit hot, but it's not too bad. And just give it a couple of pokes. And I waited too long while I was explaining this. While it's still kind of rubbery, if you screw up, just pull it back out and reheat it. I'll be right back. All right, I'm not going to lie to you. It's a little bit more difficult this time to get it in than it was previously. You see this ridge here? That's what we're trying to get past. And you'll find that ridge on every single T-fitting. Now, I tried the previous time to shave down that whole barrel, but like I say, it got too rough and it didn't seal well. It was too leaky to work, so that's why I went to plan B, which worked. So we're going to make it work this time. What I did was I went around the tip and I just tapered the tip just a little bit. And you'll notice my tube is looking a little lumpy right now. Don't worry about it. Every time you heat it, it kind of falls back into shape. It's truly amazing. So I'm gonna give it one more heating, and then we're gonna give it one more heave-ho and see if that works. Be right back. All right, here we go. Cram it in there. Heave-ho, it goes through, and made that last little bit. Now, and I got it with the finger poke. You can't dawdle around with this. All right, that's the key. You can't dawdle around. So once you get it in there, just keep moving it around, in and out, back and forth, and keep twisting it. And twist entire rotations so you're not holding it too long in any one position.